So we're working on this old disc. It's a Shearer AcreMaker, or John Shearer. They're an Australian company. As far as I know, they're still going, making implements. This particular one I think was probably made in the 50s. It's hard to find much information about it. It's 24 plate. I think my grandfather, he probably purchased it in the 60s. And was just doing a bit of land clearing for his own use on his own farm, on this farm. So he'd clear with the dozer and then hook this onto the dozer and then disc the paddock up. Didn't really have any tractors that would pull it back then, or on our farm anyway. So it hasn't done a lot of work. It's only done stuff here, but it's done a lot of sitting around. So we just doing a bit of work to it, getting it ready to use on the paddock we've been cleaning up and clearing. It's a bit wet to get on there at the moment, so we'll just get this ready. We'll drop the blade off the dozer and hook this on. Got some steep stuff to do, so we do have a tractor that would tow this probably on the flat, but not where we're going at the moment. It's pretty steep, so. But anyway, what we got to do is replace a lot of these bolts, as it's been sitting around a long time. The dirt just sits there, it gets wet. All the heads of the bolts are gone, the nuts are rusting off, so we've done most of these ones. We've got to straighten this out. I'd say when I was on the dozer once, they turned too sharp and it come onto the tracks and probably bent it up. That's anything we can think of, but it doesn't affect its use, but we might straighten it if we can. Shearer farm machinery. Thought about even putting some paint on it, but not sure yet. It's interesting, it looks like it's even got some pinstriping going on there. Yeah. Got a few bits of paper on it. We got parts list for it. Shows a bit of a layout and bits and pieces on it. Here's an old brochure. That's it there, the AcreMaker. There's some weights on each corner. We do have more weights to put on, but it's always seemed pretty good without them, so we'll probably leave them off. One thing I do got to fix is this bracket here. So this bracket here, those two bolt holes go in these holes. See how it's all broken? So I'll have to try and get this nut off and probably make a whole new one of these brackets. And we might even try and give it a bit of reinforcing by hooking onto here somehow on the top of this, because it is getting a bit of load backwards, I think, which is what's caused that to break. To adjust the cut on this, you pull this lever in, pulls that pin out, and then you set your cut on these holes. The tractors will pull it on probably the first couple, but once you get up to here, this whole gang swings around and you get quite an aggressive cut. The dozer will pull it on full cut, so got this string here to pull that in. We did think about putting they did do an option for a hydraulic cylinder that went on here. We do have a cylinder we can put on, so we might even do that. I'll probably have to place some of these bolts in here. We looked inside there and the bolt's about to break off. So yeah, another project. We'll keep going with this one. So I've got this mechanism all apart. It's the rusty nut. Just ground it down, managed to get it off. So I got a new nut coming for that. Just an 1.25" BSW. Get a Nylock for that, and I've actually cut the shaft was a bit longer with a pin in it, so I've cut that off just to get some newer thread. It wasn't that bad inside, it's just more corrosion or rust than anything. So instead of making a new bush, I ended up just flame cutting the old one out of that bracket there. So we've cut that out, machined all the weld off, made these plates up, so I'm just fabricating the angle. Just got it tacked up at the moment. And I've added these extra holes in here. I reckon I'll run a spacer down to the disc frame, and that'll stop this from moving like that, which is probably what caused that crack. Everything else is alright on this thing here, just probably needs a good clean up and a bit of grease for that pivot pin to work. So I might take this and get this sitting on there and start marking these holes out, and then start cutting more bolts off the disc. So got all this welded up. Threw a bit of paint on there. Pretty happy with the way it's come up. So I've put this onto the front this time instead of into the back. And then these are the spaces we're going to drill some holes down through there, just to support that from twisting so much. New nut. We're still working on these bolts here, we're slowly getting them done. Next stage was working on all this link here. They go there. Now they did have 3/4 bolts in it, but as you can see they were pretty worn out, and the hole was a lot bigger than 3/4, so we ended up taking them out to inch. Ran an inch drill through there, and then we got some bolts, some new bolts. But what we did, we got bolts with a shank that's long enough to take up all that thickness, so it's not running on the thread. We just have to cut the bolt a bit shorter, that's all. This link here was an inch, but inside that was about 30mm, so 25 to is inch is about 25.4, so that was quite a loose hole. So what I've done, I've ended up putting that in a lathe, bored that out and put an oil-on bush in there. Just pressed the bush in there and then took it back down to inch. There we go. So that's going to take a lot of play out of all that stuff. That goes there, and then this link goes under there, up onto this. We're going to set it all together now, and then we're going to work out where some brackets are going to come off here to mount the hydraulic cylinder on. So a bracket on there, and there'll be another bracket on here. So I've just been working on putting these lugs onto here for a hydraulic cylinder. I just used a bit of 20mm plate, put a good chamfer onto the plate, got some good weld on there. So the cylinder will attach from here and then onto this one. But we'll only use the cylinder when we tow this with a tractor. We just got to make sure that this pin is out and doesn't go into the hole, so you can actually change the cut by moving that cylinder, which moves this across there. But on the dozer, I reckon you just unhook the cylinder and then we'll just use that, because you can nearly put in full cut and just go with the dozer. You don't have to change it much. I think that'll work quite well. I've got to drill some holes in here next, We'll get the drill out and do that, and then we've got to take this off, and then I'll try and straighten this. And I reckon I might fix this hole up here. It's quite a big hole in this hitch here, it doesn't need to be that big. So we're getting there with it. We found we've got a die nut. We can run over these threads here and chuck some new, not that nut, but we've got some new nuts to go onto there, onto that one, this one. Getting there with it anyway.
Oh, that one. Oh, what about this one here?
Yeah, that one's got to come off. Might chip off.
Yeah. Okay, I'm to him now. There.
Very sharp.
Right. Ready to clean up.
So I think that's about it for all the nuts to replace there. I think that'll do for now. Even that one there's getting a lot of corrosion on it, but it's a big thick nut. I think we'll use it and see what the bearings are like in it. So pretty sure they're okay at the moment, but if we have to do one, we can just undo all them bolts and drop to drop a gang out and replace the bearing. It's no big deal. They're in small sections, so you just drop that one out and undo that nut to pull the discs off. The drawbar looks a lot better straightened. Just got a customer's D6 in for repairs, and while we're putting it in a position I thought, oh hang on, I'll put this drawbar on and we'll give it a straighten. We were going to just do it with a digger anyway, but I think the ripper did a better job with a bit more pinpoint. Since we did that, all these bolts are loose, so we're going to replace these ones. I'll clamp it back up. I've got new bolts in here, and I made up a new drawbar, or new link. Just a bit of solid, bored out, bit 40 inch pin, and new hole. This one is pretty sloppy. Didn't really need replacing, I guess, but it's all done now. Next thing, I was drilling these holes out for that. Got that one in. I've got this hole done. It's not quite lining up. I've got to move it uphill a bit. Maybe I might just file it or grind it out. We can bolt all that together, and that's getting pretty close to all done. We'll get that cylinder on and make up some hoses. Just use some old second-hand lines we've got. We don't really want to make all new stuff really, because it's not going to be used much. Put a bit of grease on it. So these are the hoses we'll be using. They're come off another job that my father did for someone, left over, but they're actually already got crimped lines on them, so we'll just leave them. It's probably a little bit long. We'll just coil it up and cable tie it. We just put some couplings on there to go into the tractor, and we've just got some new fittings just to adapt from here, which I think is 3/4, and then onto these here. We'll get that hooked up and then probably tow it out of this paddock into the other paddock where we're going to disc. Probably just give it a bit of a test run. Just going to give it a go on this thing here. 1494 David Brown. It's actually not ours, but it is for sale from a deceased estate. We're just selling it on their behalf. I think it is about 85-90 horsepower, somewhere around there. Yep. Should hold it. doesn't have wheels, so you just got to try and straighten the cut up as much as possible to move it to the next spot. We'll have to go up the road in a minute. Didn't hurt it too much. So this is the paddock there to work up. We've already done most of the top section up here. Pull the cylinder in and that'll come round and then increase the cut. A few sticks in here we need to still clean up. Got to make sure it's moving as you change the cut. I don't think you want to just do this stationary if you're putting too much load on all this links up here. That'll make it work. Just flexing that tyre. Well, so far so good. Not a lot of cut on there at the moment. If you look at the hole position, it's only about the first hole. So we'll come round a lot further than that. So far it's working all right. So I've got to go down some of this steep bit here. I reckon we'll hook it on the dozer and go down through there. Well, I think that might wrap this video up. I'm pretty happy where it's working. I think this bolt might be just a tad tight. It just seems a bit tight in this link here. So I might just get the spanner and just slacken that off a little bit. The only other thing, it does get close to here, but it doesn't. I think it's fine like it is. Once I slacken that off, I'll let it move a bit more. But it was probably getting a little bit tight on this runner here. You can see where it's shined it up. Maybe just needs a little bit of grease on there, just to make it move a bit smoothly. I think that was a pretty good success. good little upgrade. As you were coming up the hill there, it started to lose traction, so you just bring the cut off a bit, where before you're pretty much stuck in what position you're in. So you'd have to back and then probably just swing downhill with the tractor or pull the pin out and readjust the cut, but this has made it a lot easier. All the gangs are turning, so the bearings must be okay for now. You just got to watch for sticks getting in any of them, because if a stick gets in there, sometimes it stops that turning and then it doesn't take long, and then you start to get build up a big mound in front of it. Then that's when you got to go back and clear it out. So we'll keep doing a bit more with it and probably hook it up the dozer and get some footage of that. Thanks for watching.